So My Hero is basically in its epilogue saga, which shouldn't take too long. It should be over in like the next 5 chapters. But it still feels a little sad that this show is going to be leaving because it was one of my favorites. And that's despite other people saying that they have issues with the show, because most of the time when they bring up these issues, they're things that either don't exist or they just exaggerated them because they don't actually watch the series. But there were a few things that I really loved about these last 2 chapters, so let me go through the list and show you. The first one was while Midoriya was taking down All For One, and All For One had to come to grips with the fact that he was about to lose his brother forever. Yoichi, before he finally passed away, was like, hey, I ain't the only one that had beef with you. Check behind you, dude. And you see all the other past lives that Midoriya threw into All For One, along with Shigaraki about to take him down from behind, which, come on, stop. But what's really poetic about this scene is that Midoriya was basically not ever going to be able to take down All For One after he completed his body. But the only way he was ever going to do that was if he was taking him down from the outside while Shigaraki and everybody else was taking him down from the inside. Which means that if Midoriya didn't save Shigaraki, Tenko Shimura, and have him help him from the inside out, All For One would have either won or he would have killed us all before he left. But after finally taking down All For One and in the final moments in the World of Vestiges before All For One vanishes forever, we see Shigaraki and Midoriya have a little dialogue, and before they have this dialogue, Shigaraki's thinking to himself, after Master took over my body, I thought I was done for. But it's because of Midoriya that he at least got his body back in some degree before he finally passed away. And in that, Shigaraki is grateful for Midoriya. I know a lot of people had problems with Midoriya having empathy for his villains, even though if you saw their backstories from reading the series, you would know that they're very empathetic characters. And even though he said this already, he's saying it again here, he could not forgive him for what he did, even though he knows he was a victim the whole time. And Midoriya's even saying I wanted to stop you because you wanted to be stopped, so that his sadness wouldn't be passed on. And some people might think this is shoehorned in, oh, of course he wanted to be stopped. But no, after All For One took Shigaraki's body, he did not want that thing no more. He's I already hated everything, and I'm just adding you to that list. I want to destroy you for trying to take my body. And if you're going to have my body and not me, I would rather you just be stopped. And who's going to stop you? Star and Stripes brought up somebody like that, right? Because right before Star and Stripes faded away fighting Shigaraki and All For One, she lets All For One know, so long as you're doing evil stuff and a hero is around to want to take you down, you're going to be defeated, even if it wasn't by me. And the interesting thing after this is that All For One does not respect Midoriya as the next vessel of One For All. He does not think Midoriya is capable of taking him down, so he's whatever, forget that weak kid. Now get out of here, corpse. Meanwhile, Shigaraki or Tenko Shimura deep down inside of the subconscious is a hero. Well, that's gotta be Midoriya. He just knew that Izuku Midoriya would have been the only person that could come along and actually save him from where he is right now. So it's kind of beautiful to see that he was right about that. Midoriya would be the one to save him from All For One, even if he was only free for long enough to choose how he died, which I find really tragic about his character. And even going down, Shigaraki still cares for his people because he's hey, if Spinner is still alive, tell him I went out swinging, alright? Because he knows out of all the people in the League of Villains, Spinner was the one that rode for the cause the most, because Spinner wanted that world that he could live in. So even with majority of the League of Villains people passing away in this final war, I hope Spinner is still alive because I would love to see him actually be rehabilitated. I would say so long as one member of the League of Villains can live and reintegrate into society at some point in the future, after jail time, after whatever community service, after therapy, rehab, whatever, it would be a good way for the story to showcase that we are paying attention to the fact that our society was messed up and y'all are not completely at fault for everything that happened. Now, the rest of y'all may have died, but you, Spinner, we saw how society wronged you. And we're going to fix things so that you can actually live in it and not feel the need to do that again. Because honestly, I think that's a better decision than actually trying to kill Spinner or death penalty this man. Because remember, a lot of villains did look up to Spinner after the Redestra was taken in. He's also essentially one of the founding members in the League of Villains. And he was 100% one of the leaders of the Paranormal Liberation Front. Killing him would probably spark even more stuff. You don't want to do that. The way that society treats Spinner and gives him repercussions for what he did during the final war will set the tone for what people should expect for villains for the rest of the history to come. If you kill off Spinner and just sweep him under the rug, we are back to square one and things are just going to get worse when this happens again. You gotta show to all the villains out in the world that are following behind Spinner that yes, society is willing to work with you if you are misguided. You just can't go on a tirade and destroy everything the way that Shigaraki was doing it, because even Spinner wasn't cool with this. So for Shigaraki's sake, I hope that Spinner is doing very well and he can live the life that Shigaraki was trying to give to him, which is literally just a life that he doesn't have to experience racism. But the thing that got me in the feels the most out of these last 2 chapters was none other than Bakugo, because look at this man now. His whole arm, remember how we got all these threats that Midoriya, if you keep using your quirk like that, you're gonna end up paralyzed. Well, Bakugo's paralyzed out of this arm now. And while the doctor's like, do you want to get prosthetics so you can still be a hero like Mirko? Bakugo's like, nah, I'm good because my quirk comes from the sweat that comes out of my hand. Even if the arm can't move, it can still produce sweat, so I can still use my quirk through it. I'm not getting rid of my arm. And besides, Midoriya never had a quirk to begin with. This is nothing technically. And you see Bakugo still being his normal self, I'm gonna kick this rehab's ass and then I'm gonna get back into the field, I'm gonna get even stronger, I don't care how hard it is. Meanwhile, we see Midoriya and All Might just in their hospital beds, and Midoriya's kind of sad over the fact that he wasn't able to save Tenko's life. But like I highlighted earlier, even if he wasn't able to save his life, the fact that one of the last things that Shigaraki said to Midoriya before he passed away was to do your best showcases that he really does appreciate Midoriya for what he did. And honestly, it shows that he appreciates everybody that had a hand in helping him. Because even when he was attacking All For One from the inside, who's next to him other than his grandma? But now Midoriya's letting All Might know that he already passed on the quirk to somebody else, and we're like, who'd you pass it on to? Obviously, it has to be somebody that does not have a quirk, or else, they're going to die probably at the age of 20 or something. But Bakugo comes into the room right when Midoriya is talking about he still has the embers left, and then Bakugo puts 2 and 2 together. Embers? Wait, you telling me that you about to be quirkless? Keep in mind, the very last chapter that happened when Bakugo was helping Midoriya fight All For One, he told this man, watch out or else I'll surpass you, Izuku. He still got that friendly rivalry going. So when you look at it from Bakugo's perspective, where you fought in these 2 major wars against this world-ending villain that almost took over everything, you hadn't had a normal life in the last year and a half, and he is finally taken down. You're like, all right, I can get back to school, I can get back to things with me and Midoriya, we're cool now, and we can have a really good rivalry. I can try to surpass this man, and I can surpass All Might, and then you find out that, oh, I don't have the quirk no more. I only got the embers left. Sorry, buddy. And this also just goes a long way to show just how selfless Midoriya was, because he was never in it for the power. The fact that he was able to do all this, save the world, and then when he doesn't need the power anymore, he just gets rid of it because he never needed it in the first place. You see him right here oh, well, I'm not really sad. I was already quirkless from the jump. I'm just happy it happened at all, And Bakugo's thinking back on all the times that he bullied this man because he's you're quirkless, you can't do this, you can't do that. But he's now acknowledging just how amazing everything Midoriya has ever done was. Thinking that Midoriya is so amazing, he tells him don't you dare let me surpass you. Only now it's you're going to surpass him because he no longer has the quirk. It's going to happen eventually, whether you work hard or not. And then for the second time in the entire series, we see Bakugo just cry because he's confused. Wait, I don't got no rival no more? And what I really like about this is he's thinking back on everything. He's man, just how bad have I treated you over the years? I thought that you were looking down on me. You didn't even want the power. Once you saved the world with it, you just got rid of it. And now his true emotions, for the first time, just come out. And he's I just thought that, we could have just kept training with each other and growing stronger, competing against each other. But that dream is gone now. But Bakugo should definitely take solace in the fact that he and Midoriya are 2 of the greatest heroes of all time. They were both the last bastions of hope against All For One and Shigaraki. Bakugo even saving All Might from All For One and then also helping Midoriya in the final battle get his final hit in so that we can close this thing out. He's number 1 assist. So for this epilogue, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the relationships of all these other characters now that we don't have to deal with the world-ending threat of war. And I know somebody's going to say it in the comment section, but they probably don't like Midoriya's hair being cut on the side like this, but what do you expect? That whole side of his face got messed up. I'm not surprised that they had to shave that part. Also, with them still rebuilding UA right here, I'm assuming this is not too long after the war, so that hair might also grow back. Either way though, we're gonna have to wait and see, but I'm really looking forward to this epilogue because My Hero has been one of my favorite series of all time.